we look at the state of our mind. Yeah, but there need to be also certain factors present. So this list is quite clear, I think. Yeah. Okay. So the 10 virtuous actions is the opposite from the above, but it doesn't mean you have to go around saving lives. It just means you abstain from killing lives. You abstain from stealing, but consciously. Yeah, like I see the plant, I want it, I see my mind, so the action is not complete because I haven't done it. And then I go, no, I'm not going to steal it. That creates actually positive energy. And this is why, now I'm coming to the vows, this is why we are taking vows. Because to create positive energy from, of course, if you do a positive action of generosity and all that, of course that creates positive energy. But positive energy from abstaining from negative action only comes if you would have the occasion to do something negative and you almost plan it, but then you say no. Then it creates what is called virtue. Otherwise not. But if you are holding vows of not killing, during that time that you hold the vow, it's purifying your past negative actions of killing, and also it creates a lot of positive energy of not killing or not stealing and all these kind of things. Okay? So that is why one is taking vows, because then one thing is you're protected, and vows, they say, is almost like an energy on your mind stream that kind of, it works like a washing machine that is working. If you remember your vows from time to time. And this is why one starts taking them only for 24 hours. So the vows we will be taken, we will take tomorrow morning, is tomorrow Friday already? Friday. No, 6 o'clock, is abstaining from, is 8, yeah? Abstaining from killing, stealing, sexual conduct. So it's only for 24 hours, okay? Lying, intoxicants, like something that clouds the mind, like alcohol, drugs, these kinds of things. Singing, dancing, playing music during these 24 hours. Sitting on high thrones and beds with pride, and eating at the wrong times. Oh, singing, dancing, playing music, what also goes in there, wearing jewelry and perfume with a lot of pride. So if, you know, like if you wear like your jewelry, if you can take it out, take it out. But if it's difficult to put it back, then don't take it out. Also, if you have a very precious mala, or if you, oh, this mala has been given to me by the Dalai Lama, you know, kind of thing, then also leave it in your room. That's it. So we kind of strip ourselves of all the ornaments that we usually identify with, and that we don't feel good without them anymore. Yeah, so this is like it's... And singing, dancing, playing music, we're not spending the time with singing, dancing, playing music, because usually these 8 vows are being taken full moon and new moon, because each month, by lay people. That's their way of taking vows. And so of course you shouldn't seduce somebody that day, because they're taking vows. And usually full moon and new moon in the Buddhist tradition is spent practicing and not having fun. That's why these vows. And taking vows helps you to change habits, because you have much more energy to say no if you know that you have taken a vow. Then if you just think, okay, today I will not do this, 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 and there's a little ceremony where you take the vow and you promise, I will do this, I will not do this, 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 or I will abstain to do this and this and this. Yeah? So for you, the biggest thing will be really, honestly, no breakfast and no dinner. And then, why do we do that? So that everything that we are not putting in our body that comes out as pee-pee caca, somebody else can enjoy. And to show us our attachment to the food also, our fear of going hungry. I think none of us really knows what hunger is. None of us. Or do you think you know what hunger is? To see our attachment to the food, and also to generate compassion for those beings who will go through that every day. Not no breakfast and no dinner, but also no lunch. Hungry ghosts. So then we think, I don't want to end up in that realm. I don't want to end up in such a situation because I wouldn't be able to bear it. That's the reason. But vows need to be taken voluntarily. You need to see the benefit of it and you need to want taking them. This is why we make it optional. So do you want to make a list, or people show hands, or what shall we do? Because the kitchen needs to know about breakfast. Okay, so I don't want to make this personal, because for me, it's not I don't care. I don't care is not the right word. Whether you take the vows or not, it doesn't change anything in my relationship to you. You're not becoming they're called in Hebrew, you're not becoming not a nutnik, what's the other one? A goody-goody kind of thing. Gosh, I haven't used the word for very long. Somebody who's always the best in class, What's the word in Hebrew for such a person? Huh? Achnun, exactly. So, it's not that you're becoming the achnun or whatever. It's your decision whether you take the vows or not. Yeah? So we make a list and we go no and yes. So no means now we need to make more words. You make what? Taking vows, yes. Not taking vows, no. And you put not both, one. So that I don't know who it is, who is taking vows and not taking vows. Then I will see in the morning. Oh, that's it. It's not much point, I just noticed. My good intention of not making you, of that it doesn't have an influence whether for me, in my relationship to you, whether you take them or not. Do you understand what I'm saying? I prefer somebody not taking vows than somebody who says, okay, I'll take the vows, but what a stupid thing. I will eat in the evening, I don't care. Then please don't take the vows. Because that would be really not be intelligent. Just to impress me, say, I'm taking the vows. They're Mahayana vows, so one takes them with the intention to attain enlightenment. But I think you can also take them with a bit smaller intention. But what they're for is to smooth your path, or to to make your path very quick to enlightenment. Because every time we suffer, it's difficult to practice. And very often when somebody harms us, we hit back. We say something negative, Why this is, why we act like this, we have to still look at it. We haven't quite finished yet here. We have to look at the 4 results. So one of the results is when the karmic imprint is complete, is called the ripening result. Means it throws you into your next rebirth. But then, when we are reborn human, if some residue of negative karma is still there, if it hasn't exhausted itself, then something negative can happen to you. This is the result which is similar to the experience. Like the experience that you gave somebody else, you will have to go through that same experience. Or similar. Maybe this afternoon also we go a bit more into results. What, examples of results, of not just killing but also the other actions. The result that is similar to the action, which is number 2, I should have done that first, you create a habit. So you see, karmic imprints ripen in these 2 ways. One is that the same will happen to you, be it positive and negative, but the other, so that's not so dangerous, so it's not such a big thing. We think that's the biggest thing. But what is really big for negative actions and positive ones is that you create a habit, a habitual tendency. So if we can see kids, sometimes they like to take small insects and tear them apart. Did anybody teach them that? No, it's a residue of killing that they kind of carry with them. We have other kids who are very patient and very generous, actually, even babies, constantly bringing their things. Did anybody teach them that? No. That's what they carry with them. And then we carry that in our life also. So this is what we have to be careful about, is these habitual tendencies when they're negative. And also not identifying with them, but really knowing it's residues from past actions. So that is the result that is similar to the action. And then the environmental result is where you are going to be reborn. Under what condition? You know, in a peaceful country like Switzerland, where you have a lot of rights. For example, I already told you, and it's now also the government is going that way. They wanted to loosen up the laws for exporting weapons. Like, you know, that there's a law not to sell weapons to a country where there's conflict. There's a very strict law, and they wanted to loosen it, saying, yeah, like selling it to a country where there's conflict if the weapons are not going to be used in that conflict. I mean, so the government wanted really to loosen that law. That people in the street, they started to to collect signatures. So now they're going to reverse it. That okay, we leave it as it is. Yeah. So it's this Switzerland. We have direct democracy. You have a say. If you get 100,000 signatures, there's a vote that comes in front of the people. So it's fantastic to live in a country like this. You know. Also, many people don't take that responsibility. They don't go voting because they don't care, because everything's going okay. Yeah. Okay, and also in a big country, I think it wouldn't work, because then everybody votes for their own benefit, and then it won't work. It works in a small country like this. We only have 6-7 million. So that, you know, it's a very good conditions, you know, a very good social system, very good medical system, and all this. So that is probably the environmental result of, I don't know, ethical conduct, generosity, and all these kind of things. Yeah. So if the environment is very difficult to be happy and to be relaxed, then that comes from a negative action. But it doesn't mean that being born there, that it makes you, that you have a guarantee to be happy. It just means that you have more chances to be happy. People are also unhappy on some other level. That's samsara. Okay, so you have to list. So what I would like to do in the discussion groups, that all the questions you would want to raise with me, you raise in the discussion group. Again, you kind of take notes, but the topic kind of is, what is the topic? If I adapt, blah, blah, blah. Does karma make sense to you? So, you know, so forget the word karma, go law and of cause and effect. There is nothing that exists without a concordant cause. Concordant means of the same kind. Does it make sense to me, that thing? And how would it influence my life? If I start to believe that when something negative happens to me now, it comes from a past life. Or if I do something negative now, even if I'm not caught by the police, you know, the karma camera is always on. And if you don't purify consciously, it does not get deleted. How we purify, we talk about this evening. Okay, is there anything else I need to say here?
Just a break.
Huh? Yeah, now is a break. I just need to think if I need to say anything else. And again, as I said, take notes. And then these questions, what about if? And try to figure it out. But with the list here, not just I think that. You can say I think that if you know the list, you know, the 4 factors that need to be present, what kind of object, what is the action, and so forth. These teachings on how karma works, I think it gives us great responsibility and also gives us power to create our own happiness or our own suffering. So if somebody is suffering, please do not use it, this one, by saying, oh, they deserve it. They created it themselves. That's not what it's for. Still have compassion for somebody that is suffering. It's the same, you know. If I go skiing and somebody else falls and is injured, I could also look at them and say, well, you idiot, you didn't have to go on the skis. You don't have to ski. Look, you broke your leg. I would never do that, even though it's their fault. The immediate result of breaking the leg is that they went on their skis. So we don't need to take this argument, yeah, if I know what they did, I don't have compassion. What it does, that you have much more compassion for the aggressor. That you are able to include victim and aggressor into your compassion. You see, when we see an aggressor, we immediately have compassion for the victim and we have anger for the aggressor. A realized being has compassion for all, and out of compassion that person would try to stop the aggressor because they don't want anybody to suffer, not out of just concern for the victim. We think, oh, it's positive karma if I do it for the victim. But the aggressor, yeah, let them kind of suffer. Let them be killed. That's okay, because they started it. From the Buddhist point of view, nobody started it because it's just continuity. So there's no start, but we can stop. We can stop by hitting back when we think we have a right to hit back because they started it. Yeah. So again, I'm not talking about nations. I'm talking about individual things, more, not talking about wars and these kind of things. It's too complicated. Even the Dalai Lama sometimes says, I don't know. Yeah, talking about our very individual karma. Although we also have, I forgot to put that in, collective karma. Like we all have the collective karma. We all have created an action that we're born human. Otherwise, we wouldn't be human. On top of it, we have a collective karma to be together here in this room. Yeah? But we haven't created these causes as that group. We just have created the same actions to bring us here. Yeah? Like same. If you have seeds is a very good example. One seed can come from Lebanon, one seed can come from 3 years ago from Egypt, one seed is from Israel, but it's the same plant. You throw them out at the same time, they will ripen as the same thing at the same time. They have the collective karma of being apples or apple trees or whatever. That is what is meant by collective karma. And then it's being drawn together so that it can ripen as a group. When you see plane accidents, some people miraculously do survive. There's no miracle. They don't have the karma to die that moment at that spot. That's what made them sit in the back. When you hear these stories, also about the towers, Or once I was, the year, I think it was first or second year, or second time I was here, there was the Intifada was still going on, and we were in a taxi in Jerusalem, and the radio was going, and the taxi driver stopped, and he immediately started calling. So I said, what's wrong? What is happening? And he said, the school bus where my daughter is in just exploded. He called home. His daughter had not gone to the bus because she had overslept, and her friends who had waited for her also were not on the bus. Now you can say coincidence. Here one would say no. The right imprints, the impulses that make you go on the bus were not there for that karma to ripen. Doesn't mean she doesn't have the karma to be on a bus that explodes, but not that moment. So again, karma is very complex, it's very, very complicated. There are many, many factors come together like this. So I thought, wow, how amazing. See that this one, he was sure she was on the bus, but she had overslept. So sometimes even oversleeping is good in these cases. Yeah. Okay, so now it's 10 to 11, 5 to 11, so we make a break until 20 past. Okay? And then we look a bit at the quality of mind when you do an action and when the result comes by imagining certain situations. The list will go where? In the Moadon?
No, just put it here. Everyone puts one tick.
Yeah.
So we can tell the kitchen by lunch.
We need to tell the kitchen by lunchtime if you want breakfast or not, how many will want breakfast or not, and dinner. And yeah, so
just please everyone.
Please tick it before you. tick it before you leave so I can give it to the kitchen, and we're still in silence. Okay? And you can write down your question. Thank you. Good.